Hello, welcome to Pecan Corner. I'm Tina, and today I'm canning split pea soup. I've got another video already up on how I make my soup with my recipe, but I didn't get around to filming the canning of that one, or I didn't can that batch. Actually, I ran out, used it all up before we could get it in cans and jars. So this time I'm going to use the instructions in my Ball Blue book. Because my National Center for Home Food Preservation doesn't have a recipe for the split pea soup that I like, so I didn't use their recipe because I don't put celery and carrots in it, but otherwise it's the same thing. I have been heating my soup here, and I'm going to put it up in pints, and I've got my water heating in my canner. So as soon as I get this, get it over here so I don't drip it too badly. I'm going to leave an inch of headroom at the top of each jar so that it can expand as it heats. It's heated to boil in here so that it's so that it won't take it so long to heat when I put it into the canner. I've also got some ham here that I'm going to drop. In fact, I think I'll drop my ham in before I fill it with. There's my ham. This is the ham that was on the ham bone that I cooked in the soup, and I'm just going to drop a few pieces into each jar. Not very much. You don't want too much in the jars. It should accent the soup, not be like beef stew where you have a whole lot of it in there. I tried one time making some where I used a lot of ham, and it really wasn't good. It did not add to the soup the way I thought it would. So just a few pieces. As I mentioned in my last video, when you're working with ham, the flavor of the ham is paramount. If you don't have a good ham, you might as well not even use it, because you can't make it taste better in something. There we go. Make sure you can see what I'm doing here. There we go. Leaving a full inch of headspace because I do not want this to keep stirring it up too, so that you make sure you don't get it too much liquid at the top edge and then have all this thick stuff at the bottom. There we go. Even using my canning funnel, I'm still going to have to wipe my jar tops, it looks like. This is just slightly thicker than we will eat it. It could be eaten thick like this, but we will probably add a little bit of water to it when I reheat it after I open it up, after it's canned. There we go. We like to eat pea soup with homemade croutons. That was one of my mother-in-law's inventions. Thelma got the idea to serve croutons in this pea soup, and oh, they are just a perfect accompaniment. They are so good. looks like looks like I gauged the number of jars I would need pretty well. It looks like I got maybe 2 extra jars out here that I'm not going to need. Okay, I'm going to finish filling this and then I'll be right back. Okay, now then, 2 extras. Guess I'm going to have a little leftover ham here. We'll put that aside. We'll do something else with that. Maybe we'll make some, oh I know, I'll use some of my dehydrated potatoes and I'll make some scalloped potatoes with ham, and I'll show y'all how I do that. I have a really good recipe for making our own scalloped potatoes using our own home dehydrated ones. That's what I'll do. I'll do that maybe in a couple of days. Let me get a fresh paper towel. There's not any fat in this. The ham bone really didn't have any fat left on it. It was just the ham, so I'm just using a dry towel to wipe this off with. Okay, now, all right, now let me get my lids on. Since I'm pressure canning, I don't have to be sterile. I have to be clean, but doesn't have to be sterile. So this is one of the good things about pressure canning. It makes it a little bit simpler to do because we don't have to, although things have to be clean, we don't have to go to the effort of sterilizing them before we put them into the canner. And I want it finger tight, which for me is pretty tight, but if you have really strong hands, you don't want it you don't want to really tighten it down hard. Not like you would do lug nuts. I can't change the tire because I can't get the lug nuts loose. If they're loose enough for me to get them loose, then they're too loose and they'll fall off. The wheels will fall off. So there we go. You can reuse our rings. I reuse my rings, but you have to have new lids every time. So the lids, just the lid part, has to be new every time that we can, because this little rubber stuff around here won't hold up to reusing it. But the rings we can continue to use even when they're older. This is probably the last time I use this particular one because it's got quite a bit of rust on it. But you can recycle those. Probably need to soak it in some vinegar and get a little of that rust off. Well, see, and as you can tell, when they get a little bit older, they get to where they don't really go on very good either. Okay, all right, let me get these over here and I'll start putting them in the canner. Okay, now then, set these down in here. I would have rather done this in quarts because we will usually eat a couple of bowls of it when we have it, but I really have excess excess pint jars, and so I really need to use them instead of opening a new thing of quarts. So I've got 2 quarts left over, so that's 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I've got 10 pints in there. I'll stick these two leftover quarts. I can stick them in the freezer, and we'll have them because it freezes really good too. All right, now I'm going to put my lid on. I've got to I got to look through this little hole right here. There it is on the other side. This side, this is the one the steam comes out. We'll look through and make sure it's not plugged up every time before I use it. And got a little V here that goes on where the V is on this one. Goes on that side. Shows you how to get it on there right. There we go. All right, now we'll let it come up to steam, and this little and my instructions say to process pints for 50 minutes. So once it gets steam starts coming out here, this little thing will pop up, and then I'll vent it for 10 minutes because I still need to use my instructions that came with my canner. And so every time I'm using it, I have to vent it for 10 minutes, and then I'll process it at 15 pounds pressure, because I use a weight and not a gauge, and I'm above 1,000 feet in elevation. So I have to use, while the recipe says process at 10 pounds pressure, I have to adjust for my altitude, and so I'll do 15 pounds. So, all right, I'll be back show you when this gets going. Okay, I've got my, I don't know if you can see with this, that the steam is coming out of the central hole here. This little dude has popped up, so I've set my timer for 10 minutes to let it vent for 10 minutes the way the canner instructions tell me to. When that timer goes off, then I'll put my weight on it. Okay, my timer just went off. I was talking and Paul reminded me, is the camera on? Thank you, dear. Okay, so now I'm going to put my little weight on there, and when it starts jiggling, I'll start my timer again. But I don't want to start my timer until it starts jiggling, so that'll take a few minutes. All right, I'll be back. All right, now my timer, my little pet coffee's jiggling. So I'm going to turn my heat down. I want it to jiggle, but it doesn't have to jiggle. I just need the temperature at the right height to keep it jiggling slowly. It doesn't have to be at top speed all the time. Now I'm going to set my timer for 50 minutes. Because this is pints, not quarts. It would take longer if it was quarts. Okay, start my timer. All right, there we go. Now I'll just be back after when it ends. Okay, my timer's going off. So now I'm going to turn my heat off, turn the fire off, and just let it sit there. I'm not going to take my little weight off. I'm just going to let it sit there and let the steam go down naturally. So it'll take it probably a couple of hours before I can open the kettle and take them out. So I'll be back then. Okay, supper's over and this is cooled off completely. And so I'm going to take my lid off and make sure you all can see what I'm doing here. There we go. I forgot to put a little vinegar in my water, so these are all going to have a white film on them because our water has a lot of calcium in it, so they all look like they've been frosted. That can, in the pressure canner, that can really stick to the jars, and so I have to use citric acid in my dishwasher every time I run it. And but I might have to scrub these or soak them in some vinegar or some citric acid to get that off, since I forgot to. I remembered it after they were already going. I was like, well, there we go. All right, these have just turned out great here. They're all sealed. Remember, I said the other day, with the pressure canner, they don't pop to seal after you take them out. They'll usually do that while they're still in the canner. So there we go. I've got 10 jars, and they're still. Let me show you real quick. They're still boiling inside. That's how hot this gets. See that? See how that's still boiling inside? You can see it in this one too. Yep. So we'll have some delicious home canned pea soup. These little this line right here, that's the water line, and so all that above it is that mineral that because I forgot to put a few tablespoons of vinegar down in my water before I started my pot. Alright, well, thank y'all a bunch, and I hope you'll enjoy this. And remember, the instructions for it are in the Ball Blue Book. And If you like us, please give us a thumbs up and please subscribe. Thanks a bunch. Bye.